Welcome to GRE Snacks, snackable episodes about the GRE exam and graduate school admissions. I'm Tyler, founder of Achievable. We have an affordable $199 GRE course that includes everything you need to ace your GRE, including a full textbook, tons of GRE questions backed by our memory-enhancing algorithm, and full-length practice exams. You can try it out for free at achievable.me to see if you like it, and if you do, the code podcast gets you 10% off at checkout. Now, let's get started. So today we have GRE tutor and Achievable's GRE course author Matt Roy on the line with us again. Thanks for joining us, Matt, and do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, thank you for having me. I've been a GRE tutor for a few years now, maybe 5 years it's been. I have over 1,000 hours of tutoring through either through Kaplan or independently. I really enjoyed writing the course for Achievable, and I'm ready to talk today about tutors.
Yeah, and so I think one of the things that I found interesting, kind of a claim to fame for you, was that you studied while you were on a backpacking trip, right?
No, it was in the Peace Corps, actually.
Oh, in the Peace Corps. Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was in Morocco, and I studied in the winter there, which surprisingly, in a bit of a mountainous region, it's cold. It's very cold there, especially since there's no indoor heating. So I actually studied the GRE every night with socks on my hands.
Wow.
Yeah.
Really cold.
Yeah, with no internet, which actually was, in this day and age, a great thing for attention. You can study for hours if you don't have internet. So yeah, it actually it helped me a lot, I think.
Very cool. Well, yeah, so then today's topic is what to look for in a GRE tutor. And as a GRE tutor, I feel, and we have a lot of GRE tutors on this program. I'm quite curious what you have to say on this. So if you're, let's say you were a customer, or if just your cousin was trying to find a GRE tutor, obviously they don't, you would tell them, oh, you should just use me. Yeah. But if they wouldn't use you, or they, oh, it's weird, you're my cousin, how would you advise them? What would they look for? What are the key things you want to hear from them when you're interviewing them or on their website, etc.?
Couple points. Okay, the first point is find an independent tutor. We'll get into how they can do that in a second, but if you find a tutor through one of those very large companies, the company oftentimes keeps most of the money, and you're not really getting the value. And the tutor may not really even be teaching directed like lessons for you, because they have to stick to a curriculum. Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's because of the way the company requires it, right?
Yeah. So that's the first point. The second thing is,
Well, so the first point, just to wrap it up, would be if you see a tutor you like on a big website, see if they have a personal website where you could, not only they get a much larger piece of the total revenue pie, if not all of it, from your sale, which is incentive by itself, but then they also don't have rules around what they can tell you.
And you might even ask them what their rules are. Maybe they do have some flexibility, but the important point is they need to be flexible for your needs. Okay. The second point is, when you're looking for tutors, many people pretend like they're GRE tutors when they're just good at math, or they pretend like they're almost tutors for every exam in the world, and they might be really bright. They could be just a general math teacher. But to prepare someone for the specifics, like strategies and insights that go with the GRE, is much different. So I would say look for someone who just teaches the GRE, or someone who just teaches like the GMAT and GRE, which is grad school exams.
You think there's enough overlap there?
Yeah. There's some. And if they teach both, then great.
Yeah, quite a few people teach both. I think it's because the customer base overlaps quite a bit, is my guess. Yeah.
The other thing, though, too, is, these people who often tutor the GRE, they have so many insights when it comes to just admissions as well. And if you get someone who's just randomly, just good at math, they may not have all the insights that all the extra value you can get from a tutor who is around the grad admissions world much more.
And what does that extra insight look like?
Oh, well, what scores you need in order to get in, what sections of the exam you should focus on more or less, like for specific programs you're applying for.
Right.
Obviously, how to use your ETS score, like, for example, like someone who doesn't know anything about the GRE might not know that you can send your scores to 4 schools freely.
Mm-hmm.
Only right after you sign up or right after you take the exam. And there's just a million little things that if they don't know anything about the GRE, then they really can only help you on the exact question you're asking them if they're good at math.
Well, and also, and this is something we want to talk about in the future as well, there's a really big difference between doing the math and getting the question right.
Oh, yeah.
When it comes to the GRE.
They may not notice that a specific question has this motif that's like very common in the GRE. They won't know that. So they won't know to tell you that, to prepare on this specific part of the question or to know this specific thing. They will just know, if they have no experience, I'm saying, if they're just really good at math, they will just know how to get the answer and they'll show you that. But they won't know strategies.
Right.
Yeah.
Very cool. And what was your next point?
Okay, yeah. So the first point was make sure they're flexible. The second point is make sure they're GRE or GMAT tutors.
Right.
The next point is
not math tutors.
Yeah, not just math tutors, and not or even worse, not literally everything in the world tutors.
Right.
That's not a good thing. Look at the reviews, obviously. On some websites, you can definitely see. And that's obviously going to be... It should factor in.
Yeah. Yes, and I want to challenge you a little bit here. What should they be looking for in the reviews, right? Like, I think, almost every tutor that I've ever seen, and I've probably looked at a couple hundred at this point, like, they all have all 5-star reviews or whatever, or like a 4-point something. Like, anybody with a platform rating below 4 doesn't get anywhere, right? So you got to read between the lines a little bit.
Well, it could also be selection bias, like the people who get lower reviews end up quitting and not continuing on.
I think so too. There's a funny joke about helicopter tours in Hawaii that someone told me, which is every single helicopter tour company in Hawaii has never had a crash. Because once they have a crash, they shut the company down. They start a new one.
So be wary of tutors that it's like their second social security number or something. Just kidding. I don't know.
But what should you look for in the reviews?
But anyway, look in the testimonials. So people actually writing reviews, not just the stars, but you can write about the person, and those may give you some more insight as well. And
And what are kind of the key things you want to hear?
You want to hear that the person was flexible. You want to hear that they were kind. That's kind of something that we take for granted. Sometimes you want to make sure you like your tutor. So you want to hear that it's someone you could spend time with, because you will be spending hours with them.
Yeah, for sure. And do you feel like how would you treat if you see in the reviews that there's a lot of emphasis on someone using their system, like their proprietary system?
This is a great question.
And they're like, oh, their system worked great for me, but like, what do you think when you see that?
Yeah. The thing is, like, someone who only sticks to one system or only uses their own materials may not actually be as well equipped as someone who's extremely adaptable. Because, like, for example, for me, like, each of my students, I teach with whatever they have, because they spent money on that material. If I feel uncomfortable with it, I just tell them to send me screenshots of problems before. But I haven't done that in a long time. Most of the time, they can just show me a problem and I'll work with it. I guess that was a bit of a brag, sorry. But
it's okay. I don't think it was a huge brag. I also think that in general, I think it's interesting. So you want your advice is you want a tutor that will pretty happily work with whatever your program is. And I mean, I've talked to some tutors that have some programs that they don't like, but those are probably exceptions.
But even if they have something that I don't like, I will just let them know what is the most useful part of what they've bought and what they should try to mitigate that whatever they're losing out in with like some other free materials or something like that.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. So just try to adapt, essentially.
Cool. And then maybe I don't know, this is just me throwing my ideas into the ring here, but I feel like you'd want a tutor that listens to you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Isn't just dictating what you should be doing.
Yeah, they need to be using the tutor. The tutor needs to be constantly evaluating you, and you can't do that if you're just talking to, essentially, like if you're just talking to someone and not listening to them. So, like. Mm-hmm. If they're not listening to their student, like half of the battle is lost, because you need to be focusing on what they need to be improving on the most because that's the best use of your time. If you're paying them, you want them, actually, yeah, this is a good point. If you're paying them by the hour, you do not want them to have a large course ready for you and them telling you that, okay, it'll take me like 20 hours to teach you everything. You want them to give you homework or give you like some sort of materials, and you come to them with the specific issues you're having. That way it's the best use of your time. Unless you're extremely uncomfortable and you really feel like you're like a level 0,
starting from scratch,
then it may be best for you for them to teach you almost everything. But
right. I mean, frankly, if you are feeling like you're starting from scratch, I would personally say maybe go try and do a self-study course first. Right, like they're usually in the hundreds of dollars, and having a tutor teach you everything from the beginning is going to be more in the thousands of dollars. Yeah.
Way more.
Yeah, so you can start small, and then, as you said, like, kind of diagnose your weak areas. And if maybe the last like comment I'll make on this topic is also you can dictate the terms. And you can dictate what it is you think your weak areas are, and actually come prepared in a way that a good tutor will be really excited and happy about.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it can also mitigate a bad tutor a little bit to be like, hey, I want to work on these problem types.
Yep.
Right? It just kind of keeps you focused. They're working for you. That's an important thing, I think, because we all in school, we kind of look up to our teachers as like they're the ones that should dictate what we're doing. But in reality, this is almost kind of like a car mechanic. It's like, I'm here for a specific problem, and you're going to help me fix it because you're an expert. But it's not like you show up to a car mechanic and you're like, hey, here's my car. Just tell me anything and everything we can do. That'll be really expensive, right? Yeah. That's just going to, I mean, maybe you'll end up better in the end, but it might be 10x the cost. So. Is that worth it? Most of the time it's not. But yeah. Any other thoughts on this topic?
I had just one more point. If a tutor is promising a specific score without even knowing you, or promising that you can improve by a specific amount without even knowing like how much you studied before, they're probably over-promising. They're just trying to sell themselves. And I would definitely be wary of those people.
Yeah, I mean, some people, like, I've known some tutors in the past that, they say, over my last 300 students, I have seen the average score increase, like, 4.6 points. That's, I think, fine.
Yeah, because that's not a promise. That's just showing what
that's
has
a data set.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just like we're gonna get you a 165, and it's like, okay, but you don't know if that's even doable yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's great thoughts and great advice. Thank you very much, Matt. This has been GRE Snacks, hosted by Tyler from Achievable with Matt from GuideToGRE.com. And you can try our GRE course for free at achievable.me and use the code podcast to get 10% off if you like it.